After building my brand new racing lawnmower, I've had some massive issues with it on track. But this weekend I'm going to find out if I can actually be competitive. We had 13 incredible races and I'm going to take you through some of them in this video because there were some pretty special results that I'm very excited to share with you. So we're getting right into the racing here, and you can see it's a very rainy, miserable day as we start this race. 5 lights go on and then 5 lights go off and I go absolutely nowhere. So Al Greedus in the number 5 has got by, and then we've got Robert Rowlands behind us in the handlebar bug. And just let's walk you through this circuit. So a tight hairpin to start, then a right, then a flick left, and then a fairly small circuit here this weekend, and then heading down the hill, slight curve, and then down the bottom of the hill we've got this long sweeping right, kind of with 2 apexes, one on the way in and then one on the way out, and you're just trying to get a really great run on the way out here. And I do look like I'm gaining on Al Greedus here, but it looks like he can just about hang on to it, and then getting on the brakes on this really slippery surface. I knew that we just needed to hang on and try and not make a mistake, because there's a tiny little bump there, but no harm done. You can see through the tight corners it's so hard to get the mower rotated, and it does look like I'm going to look up the inside here, but I just can't find the grip I'm hoping for. I do get alongside Al Greedus, but we're going to get run all the way, but actually that does help me with a bit of grip. Al Greedus does lose some grip, and we are into the lead after some really tricky races to begin this season. We are leading a race in the rain, so we just need to hang on to it. I know that we've got 5 laps going here. Robert Rowlands does just manage to get up the inside. You can see he has handlebars on his bug, and that will allow him to get his weight on the front of the mower. There you are, and you can see he's got so much grip as he turns in. You can see there he's able to lean and move his body over the mower and really manipulate the grip a little bit easier than I can. It does mean you get, the negative side of it is that they are much harder to ride for long periods of time, but a really tricky battle here as Al Greedus looks up the inside, and it does look like we're going to get the momentum on the way out, but he's got the grip on the inside, and so he pulls back past us. Cutting 2 laps later, we are going to try the old switcheroo, but this goes very badly. I lose the rear on the way out of that corner, and as we come across to finish that race, that is going to be a 3rd. Now, before we get to the next race, I do have a small confession to make. This event is actually the 3rd race of the season, and you might notice on this channel you haven't seen anything from the first 2. Now, that is because since the build videos I did earlier this year on the channel, now for the first race meeting I actually lost all of the footage, and you wouldn't really have seen anything anyway. I was having so many clutch problems. Race 2, the World Championships, I had more clutch problems and also brake problems. But this weekend went way better than I was expecting. Let's get into the racing. So we're going to talk to you about what we changed, but first let's get this race started. You can see it's dried up a little bit. We do manage to get good grip, a similar start with myself and Al Greedus. We've got Stuart up front in that number 8. We do manage to just nip by Al Greedus on the better line on the inside there. And as we're going to go down the hill, we're just going to really try and gain on the back of Stuart here. We go down this section. It is really tricky with a bump on the apex, and that does catch Stuart out as we manage to dip up the inside, and you can see just how close that was going to be to a collision here. So we're running up the inside to really defend. Stuart's going to try around the outside there, but I do know I have the high ground on the inside. So as we stop it to get the mower turn, you can see how hard I'm having to work to get the front to bite and to get the nose to turn in. So at this point I really was inside my own head. I'd never won a lawnmower race, and here we are in the final lap with myself leading, so I just had to park the bus and make sure no one could get by. That was my one goal for this season, building this lawnmower to hopefully be more competitive and to get my first race win on a sprint meeting. And so here we are going into the final corner. I do almost make a mistake there, and as I come out you're about to see what was nearly a very rookie mistake here. I stick my arm up, and actually as I get that, the engine fluffers, I lose a bit of traction and I nearly lose the first place to Stuart. You can see just how close it was across the line. That would have been a rookie error. Yeah, that's my first ever win. Yes. So you can see I was very happy with that. As we jump into race 3, this one was a little bit more difficult. Al Greedus got out in front. I try a little look up the inside, but that does cost me the position to Dean. And you are going to see here, as it dries up, the pace really does spread out a bit. Dean and Stuart are so much faster, and the rain and the tricky conditions were allowing myself and Algridis to really have a great battle with these guys. As Algridis does run Dean a little bit wide, Stuart sneaks by, and I'm going to try and follow him up the inside, and I do manage to get a good run on the way out. So we've got Stuart up ahead. I'm going to try and close this gap as we come towards the end of this race, but actually I've left the inside door open, and that's meant that Dean has absolutely slammed it up the inside super late on the brakes. And as we rewind through 3 or 4 laps here, you are going to find we come home in 3rd, so not a bad result. Now after this, it absolutely tipped it down for a couple of hours, and so the race coordinators did send us out to clean up the track a bit, get rid of some of the mud, and you can see just how well that went. Everyone sliding everywhere, me running into Talon there, so bit tricky. Now, we did just miss the start here, but this is race 4, and this was a really super tricky race here, as I do get past Algridis into the first corner, and you can see just how wet it is. Earlier, we were struggling to get the nose to turn in and to get the mower rotated, and here it was even worse, but I had learnt a crucial lesson that the way to do this is to really use the brakes and the throttle to rotate the mower. The front wheels are almost just a suggestion here. You can see there the amount of chronic understeer I'm getting, as well as 1/3 lesson here is about finding the best grip on the track, not necessarily the most sensible racing line. So you can see here that I'm running on the insides and coming out of some of the corners very narrow, just to try and get some grip. So on the inside here, this was a really tricky section. I was trying to cling as close as I could to the inside, but it just wanted to slip down the bank. And you can see here I do lose a bit of understeer, and I lose the high ground, and you can see Dino on the left is going to manage to get that grippy area and come flying past. Now, one thing to understand here in this race is that this is a championship race, so 12 minutes rather than the usual 4 minutes. So it really does come into both being super consistent, being fit enough to ride the mower for that long. I know it sounds 12 minutes, but also having the mechanical stability on the mower, the strength on the mower for it to keep going at this pace throughout this. So once Dino came by, I said to myself in the helmet, my mission is to just stay on the back of him, to stay as close as I could. That'll keep me as close as I can from the guys behind. And also, he is super experienced in these conditions, been riding a mower far longer than I have, so I have a lot to learn from him. And you can see through these sections, he's really managing to get the mower rotated and sliding. But you can see through this hyperlapse that there were sections where I was managing to catch up. On the brakes I was gaining, but then through the technical sections, Dino was managing to get away. And if you look closely here, something really unfortunate for him happened. His belt snapped. Now, I had managed to hold myself in this race, but it was really tricky for him. You can see the championship standings there. It really matters. It's super close at the top, and that's going to be a handful of points he's lost there because of that mechanical failure. So what is his loss is my gain here. Now, at this point, I had managed to pull out, well, Dean and myself have managed to pull out about half a lap, maybe a third of a lap over the other guys. So through this next 10 minutes, I was just trying to hang on, trying to stay consistent, and I was managing to pull out the gap. So after winning my first sprint race, this one here was going to be my first ever win in the championship. Look at that. So a really healthy haul of points through the first half of this weekend. But we're going to jump in straight into race 7 here, cutting through some of the highlights of the weekend. And you can see my clutch was binding a little bit on the start line, which may have given me a bit of an advantage. But we do manage to get Rob Rowlands up into the first corner, but he can hang it around the outside with that lawnmower. It's super good in these conditions. But we do get the place, and so we're going to close in on Algridis in the number 5. Skipping ahead a lap, you can see that Dino and Algridis have just got by, and you're going to see just how close the racing is here. So I'm going to try around the outside of Algridis. He's on my right, and I'm trying to leave him some space, and Stu sends it around the outside, and we're 3 wide into this bottom corner. It does very nearly go wrong. Look at how close this was from the other perspective. I've got to leave Algridis some room on the right, but then it's super close, and I do actually hit Stuart, but he does manage to come past, and we finish that race in 3rd, but a super great battle. Now, after this, the track really dried up, and this was where the weekend started to take a bit of a turn for me. So Algridis got a great wheelie start off the line there, and as we're just coming through this race, we're going to have our first mechanical problem. After battling so many problems on this lawnmower, once, you know, it was a fresh build, we were always going to have teething problems, but it feels like we've had them for ages on this thing. As we come down this back straight, we're just trying to hang on the back of Algridis. Dino does manage to get a great exit out of the corner. He's really done well there, and in one straight he's grabbed 2 positions just by grabbing some extra momentum out of that final corner. You can see how important that is in lawnmower racing, and as I say that, I then make exactly the same mistake twice, and Stu comes by. I do manage to get Algridis, so we are having a great race. We are having a really great battle. Now I want you to listen closely now. And that there was my belt exploding. It just absolutely let go. And so this caused me, well, a massive problem in this race because I was out. I tried to get the belt back on, but I couldn't. I was invited by Tricky just to push the mower over the line to get the points for 4th at the very least. I think this was 5th actually, as we pull it in to go and get that fixed. Now we did get this patched up, so we're going to see how we can get on in this race. So I do manage to get a start off the line. Because I finished last in the last race, it meant I was 1st for this one on the grid, so that really did help me. Now I want you to look at the track here. You can see in sections the track is really very dark, and that is because it's super hard and the tyres are really wearing out. Now as we go down this back straight, we're really picking up speed, about 35 miles an hour, and I stamp on the brakes and absolutely nothing happens. I go straight on it. The only way to stop is to pull the engine cut out and to try and let it die down. Now I just wanted to have a look under the mower to see what had happened here, and you can see how deflated I was. What had happened in that previous race, the belt letting go had destroyed my brake line. Matt comes over to see if I'm okay, and yeah, I was going to have to go and patch these brakes up. So I wanted to drive the mower back over, get it over the line to get my 5th place. And as I drove in, you're going to see something quite comedic here. I pull out the engine cut off to try and stop and park the mower in a hedge. That's gone well. So an hour or so over lunch patching this up, getting everything back ready. We're going to see if the mower is working. 5 lights on. We start from pole here because of the brake failure. And so we're going to go into this top corner in the lead. So pulling around this top corner, you can see how far I'm having to lean now. Now the track is really gripped up. You're really having to get your weight over the inside to stop it, the mower rolling over, really. You can see Dean having a look around the outside, so I'm trying to cover the inside here. We do manage to run him all the way out the outside. He's going to have the inside for the next corner, but we do manage to get a good run out the final corner. That does mean I'm on the inside for this following one. Dino does run a little bit wide there, but actually that's going to give him incredible momentum on the way out of the corner. You can see him cut Stuart back. So here we've got 2 behind us, Stu and Dean, both great racers. But actually, me managing to park the bus here did mean that they were both battling each other. Now, that was, in my helmet, all I could hope for here. Just stay on the one racing line that was really working in the dry and make sure no one can get around the outside. You can see here, Dean is giving it a really good go there. He actually gets away in front through that section, but I managed to just hold the inside, keep my momentum up, and run him to the outside. So we're just really trying to defend as hard as possible here. And Dean is going to run around the outside. He's going to have the momentum. Is he going to manage to come past here? And he does manage to just box me out on the exit and get a good run as we come across for 1 lap left in this race. We're going to try and hang with him if we can and see if we can get past. But it looks like he is eking out a gap. You can see through that section he's gained, what, half a second, 3/4 of a second. So he really does have the pace on us at this time. And so coming into the end of race 16, we are going to have a really close battle, a really good fight for 2nd place. So some really good points here. Now I'm going to show you one more race of this weekend, and let me tell you, it was a really tricky one. 5 lights on, 5 lights off as we go off the line here. Again, we managed to start on the inside because we had a poor race the race before. So we're going to run through this top section, round to the left, and we are going to just try and really run away. I had been coming into these races and sort of not measuring my pace, but going a little bit steady on the first lap. And so I said to myself in my helmet, no, this is absolutely full send. Everything you've got to try and make a gap. And if you look close behind us here, you're going to see a really close battle. That was between Dean and Stu, and actually Algridis our competitor that we've been racing a lot this weekend is actually parking the bus and keeping those guys behind. So this is really giving me the opportunity. I knew in my helmet I had a bit of a gap, not because I'd seen, but because I couldn't hear anyone hanging around just behind me. So I knew I needed to get my head down. After a couple of wins in this weekend, I'm just trying to cling on to this. Now, at this point, I do think Dean and Stu had managed to get past Algridas, so I really did need to just hang on to this lead and really try and push ahead. So I was focusing on hitting all of my points. Over the weekend, you do learn like the little sections you need to hit to avoid the bad bumps. And as you can see, I skip ahead. We are going to come across to win our third race of this weekend. An absolutely incredible points haul and a really great step forward in pace for us on this brand new racing lawnmower. An incredible weekend. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like this.